Mr. Speaker, it is the Prime Minister's second Christmas in Downing Street, and by his own admission, he's not in control. He says nothing happens when he pulls the levers. Does he blame himself or the levers?
Mr. Speaker, I'll just set out what we've achieved this week, Mr. Speaker. We're setting out our violence against women and girls strategy tomorrow. That'll me specialist support for abuse victims and the 999 calls experts.
Sorry, Prime Minister. I expect better from you. Ex-serving officer, we expect the standards of a good officer. Prime Minister.
The next lever was 500 jobs protected at Grangemouth.
Right. So Keir Starmer just endured what can only be described as a public evisceration of Prime Minister's questions. And honestly, it was so brutal that even his own former MPs are saying he's drowning and that PMQs is almost unwatchable now. Kemi Badenoch absolutely dismantled him with surgical precision, delivering zingers about him being the undertaker Prime Minister instead of caretaker. Stephen Flynn from the SNP wished him a happy Christmas whilst asking how he intends to spend his final one in Downing Street. And through it all, Starmer looked like a man who would rather be literally anywhere else on the planet. This wasn't just a political defeat. This was a masterclass in parliamentary demolition, and every single moment was absolutely glorious. Stick around, because this gets spectacularly entertaining. Quick favor, if you're enjoying watching Starmer's political career implode in real time, absolutely smash that subscribe button right now. Over 94% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, takes 1 second, and it genuinely means a world to us here at British Mirror. Whilst you are at it, hit that notification bell so you never miss when we break down the next parliamentary bloodbath. Cheers if you did. Right. Back to Badenoch's absolute demolition job. Let us set the scene properly, shall we? It is the final Prime Minister's questions of 2025, that special time of year when MPs are supposed to exchange festive pleasantries, wish each other well, and generally pretend they don't spend 51 weeks annually despising one another. Except Kemi Badenoch clearly didn't get that memo about seasonal goodwill, because she came out swinging with a question so perfectly crafted it deserves to be studied in political communication courses for decades. She says, and I am quoting directly because you genuinely cannot improve on this, "It is a Prime Minister's second Christmas in Downing Street, and, by his own admission, he is not in control. He says nothing happens when he pulls the levers. Does he blame himself or the levers?" Absolutely devastating. She is referencing Starmer's own recent admission of frustration that when he goes to pull a lever in government, nothing happens because of red tape. Now, imagine being a Prime Minister and publicly complaining that you are not actually able to govern effectively because the machinery of government does not respond to your commands. That is not the confession of a strong, decisive leader. That is a confession of someone who is fundamentally out of their depth, flailing around in number 10 wondering why nobody listens when they give orders. And Badenoch just weaponized his own words against him in front of the entire House of Commons, asking whether the problem is him or the levers. The answer, fairly obviously, is him. The levers work perfectly well for previous Prime Ministers. The variable in this equation is Starmer's spectacular inability to pull them effectively. Starmer's response? Pure waffle. Absolute parliamentary nonsense designed to fill time without actually answering the question. He starts listing alleged achievements from that week. They are setting out their violence against women and girls strategy tomorrow, which will mean specialist support for abuse victims and 999 calls to experts. Then he mentions the next levers were 500 jobs protected at Grangemouth, the Erasmus scheme, and the Employment Rights Bill. Notice what he is doing here? He is not addressing the fundamental question about whether he is in control of government. He is just listing policies and hoping nobody notices he has completely dodged the point. It is like being asked why your car keeps breaking down, and responding by listing all the places you have successfully driven to. It does not address the underlying problem. But Badenoch was not finished. Oh no, she was just warming up. Later in the session, she absolutely skewered him on doctors' strikes, demanding that the Prime Minister put patients first, show some backbone, and ban doctors' strikes. Starmer, predictably, calls on junior doctors not to abandon patients and to work with the government to rebuild the NHS. Standard political non-answer. But then Badenoch delivers what might be the single greatest line of the entire session. Of course, he is not going to ban doctors' strikes. He does not have the baubles. The trade unions did not just buy him for Christmas. They bought him for life. Bought him for life. That is not just a political attack. That is a complete character assassination delivered with perfect comedic timing. She is saying Starmer is wholly owned by trade unions, that he has no independence, no backbone, no ability to stand up to his paymasters. And she phrases it as a Christmas present, tying it perfectly into the seasonal theme while simultaneously destroying any pretense that Starmer governs in the national interest rather than union interests. The imagery is perfect. Starmer, wrapped up with a bow, sitting under the union Christmas tree, a gift that keeps on giving to his financial backers. But wait, there is more, because Badenoch then systematically lists every single broken promise Starmer has made. He is breaking every promise he made. He promised to bring down unemployment. It is up. He promised he would not increase taxes. They are up. He promised to end the doctors' strikes. They are on strike again. He said his main mission was economic growth, but the economy is shrinking. That is not rhetoric. Those are facts, delivered rapid fire, each one a separate indictment of Starmer's failures. And then the killer blows. With a year like that, is it any surprise that all his MPs want for Christmas is a new leader? All his MPs want for Christmas is a new leader. Let that sink in for a moment. Badenoch is not just attacking Starmer's policies or performance. She is telling him, to his face, in front of all his colleagues, that his own party wants him gone. That is parliamentary brutality of the highest order. That is not trying to wound your opponent. That is going straight for the jugular with surgical precision. Earlier in the exchange, Badenoch had asked why unemployment has gone up every single month since Labour got into power. Starmer insisted everything is fine, which prompted Badenoch to respond, I do not know what planet the Prime Minister is living on. Planet denial, apparently, where unemployment is not really rising, taxes have not really increased, and the economy is not really shrinking. It is a lovely planet where reality does not intrude on political narratives, and Starmer seems to have taken up permanent residence there. She then asked whether the Prime Minister would finally be honest about him breaking his manifesto promises on tax. Spoiler alert, he was not honest about it. Politicians lying about broken promises is hardly groundbreaking news, but the sheer scale of Starmer's betrayals on taxation makes this particularly egregious. He promised repeatedly not to increase taxes on working people. Then he proceeded to increase taxes on working people through national insurance contributions for employers, which obviously got passed on through lower wages, reduced hiring, and increased prices. But apparently we are all supposed to pretend this does not count as a tax increase on working people because of reasons. Now, let us talk about the other spectacular moments from this PMQ session, courtesy of Stephen Flynn from the S&P. Flynn absolutely nailed the tone, starting with, It is a season of goodwill. So with that in mind, I do not intend on asking the Prime Minister about his broken promises on energy bills, 1,000 jobs being lost in the North Sea, and the fact that Peter Mandelson is still a member of the House of Lords. I will not even ask him about the chaos engulfing the Labour Party, his budget, and indeed his own leadership. He is listing all the things he is definitely not asking about whilst absolutely asking about them. It is rhetorical brilliance. And then the punchline. No, Mr. Speaker, I simply want to wish the Prime Minister a happy Christmas. How does he intend on spending his final one in Downing Street? His final one in Downing Street. That is not subtext. That is just text. Flynn is openly predicting Starmer will not be Prime Minister this time next year, framing it as a pleasant Christmas inquiry whilst actually delivering a devastating political forecast. The fact that he got Tories and other opposition MPs in stitches, according to reports, tells you everything about how badly this session went for Starmer. When the opposition is laughing at you, united in their mockery, you have fundamentally lost control of the room. Sir Keir's response? Reportedly delivered with little humour. Well, of course he responded with little humour. The man just got told by multiple opposition leaders that his own MPs want him gone, and that he will not be Prime Minister next Christmas. What is he supposed to do? Laugh along. Ha ha. Yes, excellent observation about my impending political demise. Very droll. Happy Christmas to you too. The lack of humor in his response actually makes it worse, because it suggests he knows they are right but cannot muster even pretense of confidence or wit to deflect the attacks. Then there's the bizarre tangent Starmer went on about reformed defections from the Tories. He asks who is next after 22 former Tory MPs have crossed the floor to reform. This is clearly meant to be an attack on Badenoch's leadership, suggesting her party is hemorrhaging members to Fair Eye's outfit. Except Badenoch immediately turns it back on him with devastating effectiveness. She says he is one to talk after Labour MPs began branding him the caretaker Prime Minister last week. And then another absolute zinger. After what he has done to the economy, they should be calling him the Undertaker Prime Minister. The Undertaker Prime Minister. That is inspired. A caretaker keeps things ticking over temporarily. An Undertaker buries things permanently. Badenoch is saying Starmer is not just temporarily managing Britain's decline. He is actively killing the economy and burying its prospects. It is dark, it is clever, and it is absolutely memorable. Those are the kinds of lines that get repeated endlessly, that shape political narratives, that stick in voters' minds long after the specific policy details are forgotten. But let us talk about some of the other bombshells that dropped around this PMQ session, because the political carnage extends well beyond the chamber itself. Andrea Egan's election as General Secretary of Unison is being described as another blow to Keir Starmer's already damaged authority. Tory Chairman Kevin Hollinrate points out that having already bent over backward for unions in their disastrous unemployment bill, it is clear Starmer is now set to be pushed even further to the left by his union paymasters. The result is being seen as a huge shift for Unison, which has traditionally been supportive of Labour leadership and government. When even friendly unions are electing leadership that will push you further left than you want to go, that suggests you have lost control of your own coalition. Then there is the Erasmus scheme controversy. Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster Alex Burghardt absolutely demolished the decision to rejoin, saying it was a big Brussels demand and Starmer seemingly caved without getting anything in return for our £500 million. He points out the Erasmus scheme is drastically more expensive than the Turing scheme introduced after Brexit, which benefited more British people and was a global program rather than based on a blank check for Brussels.